There we go. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us today, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than our brother Sifu Muhammad. First of all, assalamu alaikum, sir.
Well, salam, sir.
Yes, sir. This means a lot to myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us. The first question that we have for you, sir, is how did you get into the martial arts?
Okay. First, let me thank you, brother, for being consistent with your program, for assisting our people with some information that they would have never been able to obtain had it not been for what you have established and set up and are continuing. So I definitely want to thank you for even inviting me on to the show.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. The honor is mine, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, likewise. So the first question you asked, say that again.
When did you get into martial arts?
Okay. So I grew up in the 80s era. So of course we had Kung Fu theater. So I was always inspired to, learn how to use my body in a way that I had that ultimate control. And at the time, of course, my father wouldn't pay for it at that time as I was younger. But as soon as I was able to financially be able to, I started. So I actually started late in the arts. I would say in my 20s. So I went to a Japanese karate school at first. And, Japanese karate is nothing like the regular Taekwondo. It's a little bit different. And, I enjoyed the class. And it was almost every class I've ever gone to has been out of town. So sometimes when people say, they're having issues with getting to the dojo and you have one in your city, you have lost your brain. If you really have somebody in your city that is teaching something that you want to learn, you better take advantage of it. Because I've never been to a school that was less than an hour away from where I was living. One of the schools I went to, my Sonukas Rule class, which was Professor Roger Braswell down in Fayetteville, North Carolina. When I went to his class was at 6 a.m. in the morning. I got up at 3:30, between 3:30 and 4, got on the highway, and his class was almost 2 hours away from where I lived. So, I would have to leave at 4 to get to class on time because you didn't want to miss not 5 minutes of that class because, look at what you're doing. Look how far you're traveling. So, yeah, definitely, I've never told this story before, but, I just want people to understand when you have somebody in your city, and I know Atlanta, you have Brother Sifu Muhammad out there. I think, I'm not sure his Muslim name. Is it Sabir? I don't want to
Yes,
mess
sir.
it up. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know he's out there, and I think it's another brother out there that does streetology, I think. And so, whoever you have that you can get with, definitely please, jump into that. But back to the question, I apologize for getting off. But so I started, this was probably in I want to say right at 91, maybe, that I started. And so I started there, and then I ran into a brother, Sultan Shahid, that teaches Wing Chun. And I started taking classes with him right after and kind of during my Japanese karate class. And kind of switched over because he was a little closer to me at the time. And I was able to do more classes with him. So I studied with him for almost 2 years, and in between my startup time and my Wing Chun, I started doing my own classes. So within 2 years of training, I was actually teaching class. Now, don't get crazy with that. It was some sisters that uh, were in an organization. I think they were working with people from the battered women's shelter and a couple other things they were doing in the community. And so they knew that I was taking martial arts, and I told them, I'm not at any instructor level now, but they were like, just please just come and give us some basics. So right around 93, I started actually teaching my own classes. I think I taught my first class in 93, and I just never looked back. It's been a passion of mine. And, I always teach with simplicity. I always tell people, if you're doing, um, if you feel like what you're doing is hard, you're doing it all wrong. Your whole concept, your whole platform, something is off, because it should be easy. Now don't get me wrong, the training might not be easy. You in there doing your dynamic push-ups, and you're doing your crunches, and you're doing now that might not be easy, because you're taking your body from one level and breaking it down to get it ready to go to the next level up. I mean, that's just what it is. You're not going to do that minus pain. But yeah, so I went to the Wing Chun, and I was there for, again, about I kind of stayed with, and I'm still really with the instructor. I'm just not, able to go to classes all the time, because now I have my own classes, and then, I got other things that I'm doing. Just like right now, I'm talking to you from the car because I'm on the highway traveling to another city to do something else, and I just came from South Carolina doing something down there. So, I mean, it's busy, but I think the next, I don't know the time slot, but I know it was in 2000 at some point, or right before 2000, that one of the guys I was training in Wing Chun with Sultan Shahid told me about Dr. Moses Powell. And this guy, he was kind of irritating, in my ear all the time, keep telling me about Moses Powell, Moses Powell. And I'm like, man, listen, the instructor that we have, Sultan Shahid, this guy was on That's Incredible. He would
Mm,
take swords and stick them in his neck and like bend the sword. Okay. He went on That's Incredible. And the night before, he practiced what he did on That's Incredible. The night before, he went to the hotel room, he blindfolded himself and took the nunchucks, lit some candles, and blew the candles out without hitting the candle with the nunchuck. So you
mm,
can get this clip of him doing that on That's Incredible. I don't know how easy it is to get, but I'm sure somewhere it's on YouTube. But yeah, that's what he did. I mean, I'm like, this guy's, you know, top level. Like, you talking about Dr. Moses Powell, okay, whatever. So eventually, he found a seminar that we could go to. I was in Chapel Hill then, and it was a seminar in Crystal Village. I think I don't know if that's actually DC or up in Marlboro, Maryland, or it's in between DC and Maryland. So we're there, we're in the hotel catching the elevator up to where the um how they rent the rooms, conference rooms. So, we're on the elevator, and these guys are talking about I think it was the Warrior Within, a movie that, Moses was kind of, he was in the movie. I don't know, I can't remember. They did clips of him, or some of his students were actually there and he was there. I can't remember exactly how that went, but I know it was called The Warrior Within. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm not off with that. But they were discussing how different things have happened, and different martial artists that are out there that uh they know about or they have worked with due to being with Dr. Moses Powell. So, we're standing on we're kind of from the country. I mean, you think about um um Chapel Hill, this kind of really country area. And then now these guys are talking about people that are on the screen, doing martial arts. So, we on there like babies with Pampers on and a bottle. It's like, just walking around, with the Pampers making squishy sounds, because, we just like, we don't know what we're doing. So we go up to the door after we get off the elevator, and we push it open, and we've never seen anything like this. They had the whole conference room matted out, and guys were in there doing what they were doing, and we just looking at them like giants, because of where we come from. And yeah, it was just amazing. So we go into the room, and they had us lined up on the floor. You know how you sit in Seiza, and you might have 3 rows of people, going back. So we were in the 3 rows, and then it was maybe, maybe 10 feet behind us, but the guy that was presenting was in front of us. So so it was one instructor, he was there, and he was teaching the technique, and he had his uke with him. And so, he came off, somebody else came on, and he did some techniques. So we all got up and did the techniques together as they were teaching them to us. And one guy, uh I remember distinctly, his instructor just, he came in with the punch or whatever, and his instructor just slammed. He hit the ground, but as soon as he hit the ground, he was back on his feet. And then they did it again, another punch, another swing, another technique, bam, he hit the ground, back up on his feet. And he might have did that 10 times consecutive. And in my mind, I said, you know what? If I can just do the uke job, man, I'll be good. So in between all of this, I actually was doing security work because I'm in the nation, and we're doing security for different people, and going all over the place. It might be Ice Cube this week, it might be somebody else next week, it might be, and as much contracts or I don't know, as much as things were moving in the city and we were going to set up and do security with different people, and even in different cities, I'm thinking the whole time, if something really happened, what am I going to do? So this was prior to getting involved with Sanuka's rule, or really getting heavy in the Wing Chun. This was probably like when I first started training. I started asking myself those questions, and that's really what pushed me. Doing the security work is really what pushed me to say, you got to go all out with this, because you don't want to make the minister look bad or us look bad if something happened. You want to know exactly where to go, how to go, what's the best thing to do once you get there. Be most effective, efficient, quiet. You want to be the utmost best when something goes wrong, almost to the extent that nobody ever saw it. And I don't know if we get to this, but I have been in some situations and nobody ever saw what took place. I mean, we took this guy and wiped him up a couple of times in certain places, and no one was the wiser. I mean, it was so quiet, it was so controlled, and we just took him out. I mean, it was. But anyway, let me finish the story. So, pan back to Crystal Village. So while I'm watching the guy hit the ground, bam, bam, he's hitting the ground. I was like, if I can do that, good. So the next time as they come off somebody else and they're saying all these things about this guy, he's this, he's that, he's done this before, he worked with this person, and they're giving all of it this praise, which I mean, I'm cool with that. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't know who the person was. And so as they're talking, I hear something, or it's like, you feel energy, right? And so behind me, I felt something, somebody or something coming up behind me. So I kind of looked over my left shoulder. And when I looked over my left shoulder, nothing was there. But then when I looked up, I saw this guy, flying over our heads. Then he hit the mat, and then he was standing. I was like, don't know what that was. You seen airplane really close to the ground. Well, this was way more effective or having an impact on you because how close he was to you. And once he finally came up, it was X-Man, or he got so many names now. Um, Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad, or I forgot his new name that the minister gave him, and I apologize for that. But that's who it was that flew over our head, hit the mat, and then he got up and started doing his thing. And when I saw that, I was like, that's it, I'm done. So from now on, we'll be in Sanukas. So that's what it was. From 2000 or right before 2000 up to now, I've been studying with, you remember I told you the story, the guy, bam, he hit the ground, bam, he hit the ground. That was Professor Roger Braswell that I started taking classes with in Fayetteville. And he actually lives in Charlotte now with me. So, I go over there and get tuned up every now and then, and it's an amazing situation now. But we call to ourselves in life whatever it is that is most important to us. We are definitely an attracting power. So it still surprises me some of the things that happen, but this is what we all should be doing. If you're not in a place that you love what you're doing everything wrong. And you need to, regroup, reset, and start fresh. So
Okay, yes, sir. All right, and Brother Sifu, people are showing you love all across the country. Brother Nelson Ramos sends greetings. Brother Rakib Abdul, my sister Miriam says peace, family. Thank you all for watching. And Brother Nelson from Massachusetts, everybody showing love. Okay, what
thank you.
advice would you give? What advice would you give to someone who doesn't have a style of self-defense and they're trying to decide which way to go? How do you know which style best fits someone?
Man, it's so many things that go along with that question, because you really got to be able to tune into the instructor's heart. You know what I mean? You really got to know what's in here. Why is he doing what he's doing? And that will help you. But I can't really say a particular style, because, Wing Chun is extremely effective. Sanukus Ryu is like something I never seen before. It is such a melting pot of all styles, techniques, and so if you can find a Sanukus Ryu person, which it might be Kumite Ryu, it might be VSK, it might be I forgot what urban contemporary that Bill McLeod does in New York. But it's a lot of these guys out here that teach Sanukus Ryu, and they might have kind of like a different name to some extent. But yeah, if you could find that, that would be the ultimate. I heard somebody say Carl McGraw does some of the things similar to what we done. I don't know. I haven't been to one of those classes, but what I would say is, back in the day, I think around right when I got in Sanukus Ryu, they had a sheet going around with all the instructors in different cities that taught this art. So, of course, you can get in touch with me. I'll leave my number with you, which you already have my number. If somebody calls in and say, hey, look, I'm looking for an instructor, I do my best to help find somebody close to you in your city. But you just got to really go and show up at the place and find out, what this person is teaching. I get this story. It's like I took my children to another instructor's studio. The reason I did that is because they've been around me so long. They seen me in the house with some of the guys I work with, busting up furniture, putting holes in the wall. I mean, they've been around that with me. So I said, well, look, let me take them to somebody else's class. Let me take them and be consistent. They go twice a week, and let them work with him, because they, to a certain extent think they know. So, I tried that. I took them in there. They might have been 10, 11, 12-ish, somewhere in there. And I took them, I let them go in. I stayed out. And when they came out of there and got back in the car, I said, okay, so what do you think? And this guy, he was a reputable guy, and he did some really good things that in the city, that I heard that, his name was good. So when they came out, I asked them, what do you think? And they said, that, this guy, he teaches too slow, and we didn't learn anything, and he talks too much. And so I said, okay, well, you know, that's not gonna work. Are you still on? Because I lost your picture.
Okay, yes, sir. I'm right here with you, Brother Sifu. Sorry about the Wi-Fi connection breakdown.
Oh, no problem. Did you hear the little story I told, or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was amazing. Yes, sir. I was watching on my phone, but this was giving me the issue right here.
Got you, no problem. So you really need to go, and you kind of it's really hard to say, because if you don't know what you're looking for, then and then you don't have anything to compare it to, then I just say you got to start somewhere, and ask the universe to help guide you. Of course, like I said, you can get in touch with me. I try to turn you on to whoever I know, or I reach out to others that you might be closer to your city that can help you. But yeah, choosing a instructor is really, to me, it's a universal thing. You need to ask the universe to guide you to find that person that you're looking for, because um I tell, I've had students that come to me and they might have been working with me for maybe 2 weeks and then get into something. And they're always the victim. I've never had a student that got into anything and didn't win. I had a lady, she had to be almost 60 years old, and somebody disrespected her at the restaurant. She put them down, and then she called me immediately, because she was excited about what she had and how effective it was. And
Mm,
and we do a lot of drills. This is one thing maybe you can look for. We do a lot of drills in Sanuka's rule, and those drills get into your skin. It's like you can't think in the fight. You don't have time. So it's no way you can put a technique together and say, okay, this is my go-to. No, the go-to is gonna have to already be in your skin and you don't think about it. So when the person swing and then you shuffle off the line of them making that strike, now you are utilizing something that's already inside your body. You can't take the thought and put it into the body and then make the arms and the leg. No, it doesn't work like that. So because of the drills, all of my students, I had one guy, he was going into the rap thing. So he was at the club a lot, and this guy, tried to sucker punch him because of some words they had, prior. Same thing. He put him in the arm bar, put the guy down, and he was able to not have to damage the guy too much. And at the same time, he never got hurt. So I mean, this is the ultimate goal, is able to, wherever you go, be able to take care of yourself. And one of the things is, martial arts, it really helps you with your awareness, or it should. And so now you should be waking up to wherever you are, checking your surroundings. Eye to eye combat is the name of the system that I'm teaching, and that's from 180 degrees with your right side, 180 degrees with your left side. You should be constantly looking. You should be going to the restaurant and sitting with your back to the wall so that you can see everything that's coming in. You should be doing your basics. You come out of a place and you go into your vehicle, your key should already be in your hand. These are things you should be thinking about. If you're a mother, you should be going to your van. If that's what you're driving, put all your children in, put all those niños in on the same side. Why? Because you cannot control two sides of the van. These are things that should already is strategy. These are things and practices that you should be doing on a daily basis so that your children now will effectively understand what it means to move as a unit. You know, you teach them, train them from young. So as you put them in from one side, if somebody's trying to stop you, you'll be able to see everything, or trying to take one of your children, you'll be able to see everything. But if you let them go in from both sides, you're at a loss. So, these are the things. And people say, I also do a concealed carry class. So I do the hand in hand for them to show them how to get to your weapon if that's what you're going to use, or how to what you call filter the situation to see if you even need the weapon. Some people think, okay, I got a hammer, I'm gonna use it. That's my only tool. No, a hammer's not gonna fix everything. You're gonna mess up some stuff with a hammer. It's other tools out there. So with the martial arts, the same thing. Do you always need a gun to put somebody down? No.
mm,
And to me, you going for the gun to me is slow. I mean, yeah, you say it got ultimate power. Maybe that's not true, but that's what you think sometimes, maybe in ignorance. But while you're reaching for the gun, my hands are free. My hands are open. There's no way you're gonna get to that gun if I'm close enough to you. And I don't have any fear of you taking my life. I mean, that's up to Allah. So that's already removed from me as far as the fear is concerned. But yeah, to me, your hands are a lot faster. So if your power is in that weapon, you got a problem. And so in the concealed carry class, yeah, we go through a few things, so that people understand what's happening here, because you need to know your distance. If you're going to draw that weapon and I'm standing 10 feet away from you, you're never going to get to that. You
mm.
might be 20 feet away and reaching for that gun. If you don't know what you're doing, I have it in my hand. I have done it over and over again in the concealed carry class, because you get a lot of people that come in there, ex-military, or I'm this, or I'm that, or this big huge brother came through one time where we had a few of them, and they thinking, okay, my size is gonna get me off. No, your size is gonna get you hurt because now you are under analyzing the situation, thinking that because this person is smaller, there's no way he can do anything with me. And they'll be laying right down on the ground and I got the gun pointed right at their head because they're using these the soft rubber gun to, enact what's going on, and we do it in real time. So I say 1, 2, 3, go for the weapon. As they're pulling the arm out, I'm capturing the arm and I'm capturing the gun at the same time, and then the body is going down. And the bigger they are, the harder they fall. That is true. If you know what you're doing, you know how to work angles, and you understand what it is that you're looking for when you're going in there. Every time you strike a person, you should already have a target in mind of where that strike is going. So these are things that I'm saying. It's all strategy in martial arts, and if you do it long enough, people say it's second nature, but to me, it's your first inclination. It's not second nature. It doesn't come in next behind anything. So, um, I don't even know how we got onto all of that, but oh, the style. So yeah,
Yes.
any style could be effective, but I can't verify or vet anybody's system. You call me and say, is this guy good? If I haven't worked with him, I can't tell you that. And then, is the guy good for you? you know like the students I work with, they wouldn't want to work with any other instructor. My martial arts is like that. And then some students that might be in another class, they might not want to work with another instructor. And then they might go to a seminar and see something that somebody else is doing and then say, I want to pick that up too. Okay, that makes sense. But for the most part, it's not really in a competition in martial arts, because martial arts to me is all heart based. So the electromagnetic field that you're emitting, people that are tuned into your frequency are going to want to be in your class, because that's how martial arts is. It is an art. So yeah, I mean, you have to figure out what's your best option. It's just kind of hard for me to tell you, a particular style. This is going now. I will tell you this. Karate is sport. So if you're thinking that you want to utilize a sport to defend yourself, I don't think that that's smart, because it's rules in sports. It's no rule in you got 3 seconds to get this person on the ground. That's what I'm telling my students every class they come to. You got 3 seconds. So when you get to number 3, if you're in a bad position, you did everything wrong from beginning to end, because I'm
Mm,
showing. It's 3 things you need to know inside of a technique. First thing you need to know is your entrance. How do you enter, or how do you deal with the punch, the choke, the roundhouse? You need to know the entrance first. Number 2, you need to know what is your hand-to-hand combat piece, meaning what damage are you creating to take the person down. You need to know exactly what you've done to them, so that when they hit the ground, and the number 3 part of that is your exit, or what we call the cleanup. So you got the entrance, the hand-to-hand combat, and then your cleanup. So in the cleanup, depending upon what you have done to them inside the second phase, your hand-to-hand combat, you should know about where they are. If you've broken something, if you stuck a finger in their eye, if you've hit them in the throat, and now they're having a hard time breathing, all of these things you need to know. So when you go to the cleanup, now you know what else you need to do to them. And you want to make sure that you always leave them on their stomach, because it's more difficult for them to get up um, from their stomach. You leave them on their back, they're looking at you. So the human eyes attracted to motion, they're going to be looking around to, how can I get up? If they're facing the ground, it's easy. And you watch the police, they're not really effective with taking a person down per se. But, if you look at them, once they do finally get them on their stomach, then they'll wrap the arm up, and then that's how they do the handcuffing. But that's where you want them. You want them on the stomach, because now you can have a conversation with them if you choose to. I'm not really into a conversation, but that's where you at, and that's what you want to do. You need to be able to do these 3 levels so that you can be clear on, okay, what was happening here. And you should be holding them at some kind of pressure point as well when you have them on the ground. So, the wrist locks that you learn, the pressure pointing that you learn, it's just so many things in martial arts that can make your job so much easier. And I always tell people, if you have a youth that you plan to send to somebody to college, think about, this girl is getting ready to marry somebody at some point. And of course, the men too, but I'm thinking more so the sisters, because this is, something that's really on my heart. A man, he used to mixing up. If he get busted up a couple of times, okay, that's kind of learning on the job training. But a sister, No, I mean, I don't like that idea of that going down. So you give her some training before she goes to the college, or before she decides she want to select the man of her choice, that this is going to be my mate. And then this guy cut up one day and decides he want to be a domestic abuser or whatever. Okay, now she got tools in her pocket that hopefully she never told him. You know, when you start choosing these people, don't tell them I'm taking martial arts down here with so and so. You keep that to yourself, because that way you always have the upper hand. And I always forget this term, but it's something about, your element of surprise. You only get one chance at your element of surprise. So you need to open the whole spectrum up on this guy when you decide this is what I'm getting ready to do to him. You don't go into it timidly, and you won't be trained this way anyway. I mean, the training is gonna, you set the tone with the first move you make. So the person is throwing a punch, and you come in and you say, okay, I'm gonna block this punch and I'm gonna move this way. You better not touch that guy like that. Because now
Mm,
you're gonna inspire him like, oh, this guy's soft. No, you need to knock that hand completely out of the air, and he immediately, you're starting to take his heart now, because you're coming at him as he's coming at you. He wasn't expecting that. So, but yeah, you should definitely, our sisters, man. I mean, I'm trying to put together a nonprofit right now, and I've done a tour already inside of North Carolina and South Carolina to some of the college campuses to just give them some tools. And a lot of these trainings have been for free. You know, I went to A&T, they sent me home with a book bag full of, little knickknacks or whatever, saying they didn't have the money. All the colleges have money, but I think the nonprofit situation might be a better look or something. I don't know, but I'm getting ready to do another one soon. But the sisters on before they get to the college campus, man, that's really important to me, because I feel like a lot of decisions are made for them coming from that college campus, and a lot of those decisions that they end up making are made from a fear point of view, which you don't want to make any decision over your life based off of fear, because you didn't really make that decision.
mm,
So, with the training, yeah, you'll be in a position where you can say, even I had a student one time that she got into something and it didn't go exactly the way she wanted, but she didn't lose. And so she
mm.
came back and said, what I saw was, I realized what I was doing wrong. So now if I get into it again, I won't make that mistake, but I was able to defend myself to the point where I got the person off of me. They saw that this wasn't gonna be an easy win, and they took off running. So that's what I mean. Like, all wins are a win. Whether you feel like I, demolish this guy or not, I mean, really, I'm not in this for that. I really just want to go home at night and, be with the ones I love. That's really my objective. I really don't want to send somebody to the morgue, but if it's him or me, you got to go. And everybody, it should be that way. You shouldn't be cowing down to fear. Like, because, I mean, who is that? We don't know who that is.
That's
We
right.
need to we need to know who you are, and the training to help you see some things in yourself. Everybody that has ever came to my class found something that they didn't even know they could do, and they did it so well that I learned from them.
Mm,
So it's a win-win situation when you get into training, because you're looking at the education that's going on in your head. It's connecting to what's happening into your heart. It's connecting your body to everything that you're thinking, doing, seeing. I mean, it changes your whole reality. So for you not to have martial arts, I would say, if you can get a good 3 months in with somebody, you should be good. Because I know if you
mm.
come to me for 3 months, you're gonna have a lot of things in your pocket, especially if you're training. Some people come to the class and then go home, and then they wait for the next class, and then they come and do the class, and then they wait for the next. Now, if you're doing that, I don't know what to tell you about. I have seen students be affected from that vantage point, but all I'm saying is, if you would bridge the gap between each class and actually do your homework, then you'll come back to class asking questions, and then you will get deeper and you will get more out of the class. So
Mm.
yeah, so that's the part that, if you plan on going for like a 3 month period, then you need to go in there hungry and go in there, trying to get all you can get. But yeah, styles, I don't know. I think we exhausted that. But again, like I said, I'll leave my number. They can give me a shout. I try to turn them on to somebody I know, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Okay. Yes, sir. Well, Sifu, we have people sending you the greetings from all across the country. Brother Raheem, Elijah, Zaid sends the greetings. Sister Anita Rose sends the greetings. Where can you give us your phone number, sir?
Okay, so I'm giving my personal line now. So dojo line, well, let me get a dojo line. And on the
Okay.
dojo line, this is the best way to do that. Text first, let me know what's going on. And then, as we move further, I give you the personal line if we need to do that. But the dojo line is 803-431-5303. Again, that's 803-431-5303.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you, Brother Sifu. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yes, sir.
I gotta go one of your trainings, sir. You inspire me.
Well, I mean, when this is something that you love, man, like I said, it's a piece of cake. Like if I if you see some of the techniques and you see how easy they are, you're gonna be shaking your head because you say, man, I should have learned this 10 years ago or 3 years ago. And that's my whole situation now. That's why I'm moving and traveling and doing as much as I can because I know Allah has blessed me with a particular way at seeing the martial arts, and when I give it, I know that the people pick it up fast. I mean, I've had people, come in less than a week, and just if you see how they came in the door and you see them 2 weeks later, you're like, man, that is not the same person. So yeah, I know this is something that Allah has blessed me with. So and the other thing I would say is about your training, you know, let it be important to you that you would give that kind of self-care to yourself, man. Really think about if something were to happen, um, how can you help your family? And the way I teach in sets. So I'm teaching you a set that you can actually go home and teach to your family. And I tell some of the brothers in the mosque and things of that nature, or some of the sisters, okay, if y'all say, well, I can't pay the amount for the class, all right, send two brothers or two sisters, y'all finance their education and let them bring home the teaching to you. I come in once a month and make sure everybody's getting what they need, and then we can do it that way. It's not
Mm.
difficult. None of the stuff is difficult. So yeah, make it easy on yourself. But the main thing is get some training, because there's too many crazy things happen out here that don't make sense. Somebody coming at the girl and she slapped the guy and then stop. Why would you do that?
Mm.
If you're gonna slap him, you need to step in and take his vision, take his breath away from him, put him down, man. First thing you want to take in a martial arts fight, because you can do this without even touching the person, is take their vision. You got a
Mm.
t-shirt, you got a coat, you got a cup, you got a cell phone, throw it at them. It's gonna take their vision. And then you can go in and get what you want.
Yes,
There,
sir.
there's no such thing as a fair fight, man. So, make it simple on yourself. You want to work hard, go ahead. But I don't teach that. Yeah, don't come to me for that. I can't give you a hard job. I'm gonna give you the easy job.
Yes, sir. Well, that sounds like my style, my type of fighting, and my type.
Yeah, I think the Wi-Fi is cutting out.
May Allah continue to bless you and your family, sir. And we look forward to
Yes, sir.
speaking with you in person, inshallah. This is Joshua Leonard
Okay.
Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Well, alaikum salam. Thank you, and greetings to everyone that tuned in and gave the greetings to me. I return those greetings, please.
Yes, sir. We can't wait to put this on YouTube as well.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.